I am Sophie Ellis-Bextor and I am talking to you today about my new record, Familia, which is my 6th album. Definitely a sibling to Wanderlust, but this one's a bit more extrovert, a bit more bolshy. So if Wanderlust was sort of a cold landscape, in Familia we've taken those characters and moved them somewhere hot and somewhere in Latin America. I'm actually coming up for my 20th anniversary of being a singer, which is quite scary. So I'm 37 now and I started when I was 18. And it's been 16 years since Groovejet came out in 2000. So when I was 16, I was in a band called The Audience, which was signed to Mercury, and we were incredibly hyped at the time. And then the band split up. We were a sort of indie band, sort of left field guitar music. And then after that band split up, I did Groovejet, which was this very housey, very dance record. So complete poles apart.
There's no need to be lonely, lonely, lonely. I know where you belong, yeah, follow me. You only have to find me, find me, find me. No matter who you are or what you see.
I mean, funny enough, I worked on a documentary last year all about this because I'm very interested in this topic. And what seems to be the overwhelming thing is whatever works for you is what's right for you. So some people share a lot. Some people love the spontaneity, the unfiltered accessibility. Other people are a bit more, hold it at arm's length. And I think actually there's no right or wrong. From what I see, if you do something because someone tells you to or you feel you should, it's not going to ring true and it probably won't make any difference. But if you engage with it because you think it's fun, I mean, I like tweeting, I like Instagram, those things, because I find it quite nice to be able to chat to people, but there's some things that I've still got boundaries that I won't cross. And for some people what I do is too much, some people it's not enough. I think you just got to do what feels right, and that probably goes if you're in the public eye or not, actually. When I'm away working, I often get asked, oh, who's got your kids today and where are we, what's happening with all that. And my husband is also a musician, but I'm pretty sure when he turns up to do interviews, they don't say, who's got the kids today and, you know, how does your childcare work? And in fact, I know he doesn't because I've asked him, so that kind of thing. But, you know, a lot of it's talking about things like people would talk about how the weather is or something, you know, a lot of it's just sort of making small talk, really, and I try not to take it to heart or be offended by it because I don't think anyone means anything by it, really. But that being said, given that I am a grown-up every once in a while, I think it's nice to talk about things that are little things you think about. So, I don't know, I posted about the EU referendum and about how I felt it was important to remain. And then, yeah, the other day I posted about how one of my little boy's favourite colour is pink and how I find it really hard to find what I didn't understand, why we still split up the genders in terms of like where the girls' things are and the boys' things are. I'm trying to raise 4 little humans. You know, I've got 4 sons, but to me that's like the tip of the iceberg in terms of who they are, and I want them to feel like they've got all the options available for what they play with, how they define themselves, what they get excited by. So, yeah, it was just something I was thinking about, really. So I'll put something up there, and I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, really, about if you keep your identity on any social platform that you engage in, if you keep it authentic and something you're genuinely feeling about, I think people actually really like it and they engage back. And I love that, being able to have a bit of a debate and a bit of chat, and it's nice to put something out there and have people come back and go, oh, yeah, I've thought the same thing. And I think it's going to go a lot further, but I don't think we need to be too worried about saying things that make you think. I think it's all right to think about stuff.
Don't be afraid. We're coming your way.
I think the kids are part of my record in that they are part of who I am, but actually I'm a little bit selfish in my work in that I'm not like, I don't put their voices on there. I'm not going to have it like, oh, it'd be really cute if you play the triangle on this one. You know, it's like, no, this is my thing, actually. So I do have this, in my mind, a line as a boundary. And I think actually when I'm doing the stuff of songwriting, I like the fact that it can be sometimes an escape from things, and I can think about all the other stuff and use it as a place where I can explore other thoughts I have. And then obviously when I go home, as soon as I walk in the door, I'm mum and all the other stuff falls away. But that being said, with this album in particular, especially my last baby, Jesse, who was born in November, he was very much part of the recording process in that he was actually physically there the whole time. So he was about 13, 14 weeks old when I made the record, and I was still feeding him stuff. So, you know, we're pretty much joined at the hip. And in fact, one of the songs I actually sung with him in my arms in the booth as well. So I didn't really put him down very much, but chances are it's a pretty big part of who you are. And I feel like being a mother is quite a defining aspect of my life. if not the sort of root of everything, really. So, you know, I don't mind people asking me about the kids at all, because it's a big part of who I am, and it's probably occupying over half of my brain any one time anyway. Even when I'm, say, talking to you, I'm often thinking I've got all these little streams in my head of what they're all up to, and, you know, how they're all doing at home. So it's totally normal. And as I'm a creative person, everything that happens in my personal life is going to filter through into what I'm doing anyway. So it's kind of, they're natural bedfellows. I don't mind that at all. I've known Ed for a really long time. He's actually a family friend. He's one of my husband's best friends, and an amazing singer-songwriter in his own right, one of the most talented musicians I know. And sometimes when you work with friends, it doesn't always work. But actually, I think Ed and I, we're quite opposite in some ways, but very similar in others. So I think for some reason, it's a really good dynamic. And when we first got together to write, I didn't know we were making an album. I just thought it'd be quite fun. So the first song we wrote together was a song called Love is a Camera, which was on Wonderlust, and it's a waltz time song about a witch who takes your photograph and steals your soul when she takes your picture. So not your average pop record. But I really enjoyed working with him on that, and it kind of just opened my mind to the possibility of, actually, I think we can make a record and we can do something really different. And it was a very fruitful partnership, so I was really excited to work with him again on Familia, and the whole album came together really naturally. We had a lot of fun. I think when it comes to the record stuff, basically whenever I get to the bit where I'm choosing the album title or deciding what I'm going to wear on stage or how the video should look like, for me that's like just a really fun aspect of what I do, and I really exploit that because I love it. So when I was in the studio in February, I'm sat there kind of Googling things and looking on eBay and looking all around and just trying to let my mind be filled with like little ideas of what I want to do. And in much the same way, when we're writing the album, so Ed and I, we do the sort of the basic outline of the song, but we leave quite a lot of it undone because the musicians I work with, I want them to feed in their ideas. And it's a similar thing with the aesthetic side, really, because people I've worked with for a long time, and I love the ideas they come up with. So I'll give them a bit of a framework, and then they'll reflect back what they heard from me and what they think I might mean by that, and then it'll come infused with their ideas too. And so people like Sophie Muller and Lisa, who does the makeup, and Tamara, who does the styling, I love hearing what they've got and how they're gonna, everything kind of becomes the fruit of everybody's work, really. So I just feel very spoiled because all their ideas are in there too, and I love that. I feel like we all have a little share in everything we create, and that's a really nice way to work. And they're friends too, so that's nice. I'd never seen the programme before I did it. So I walked into the room thinking it was going to be like some people that are really awful and some people that are all right. I didn't realise that actually most people were pretty good. And even the people that aren't wonderful, there can be a real charm in watching those people discover they can do something they didn't think. So, I don't know, I think everybody's got a fair crack of the whip when it starts, you know.
We're coming your way. We're gonna call it. Come with us. If you give us all your money, we'll give you your dreams. It's all so focused. You'll never want to turn away.
When I was 7, my mum and I were living in a little flat together, and this is before she met my stepdad, and she went and got a tattoo. So I think it sort of sowed the seed in my head of like, oh, when you're grown up, you're going to get a tattoo. And then it was quite funny because I was waiting for a long time to know what to get, and then just before Richard and I got married, we went over to Paris and I got this done, and then that evening after I got it done, we went into a club and I got quite tipsy, and I was saying like, oh my God, I can't believe I've done something like, I mean, it's such a sort of, it doesn't really take too much armchair psychology to work out why I'm getting married and I've got a baby and I've had like family, like it's almost like to my mum and dad, like, see, I've got it back. Okay, but then again, my family are super important. I'm close to my mum, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, my step-parents, they're all in there. And even my dad can't get cross because it's like, you're in there, Dad.